The atmosphere for Olympic swimming is electrifying. The times, though, not so much. Through the first 4 days of competition in the portable pool at the La Défense Arena, no world records were set at the Paris Olympics. That finally changed in the final race on Wednesday night when Pan Zhanle of China broke his own mark in the men's 100-meter freestyle. Still, most of the best swimmers in the world are clocking slower than expected times. The culprit appears to be a pool that is slightly shallower than the optimal depth, which allows an extra couple of rows of prime deck seats to remain in use but creates more waves and turbulence rolling up to the surface. Going forward, World Aquatics has mandated a minimum depth of 2.5 meters, which is 8.2 feet, for swimming and water polo events, such as the portable pool that will be installed inside the SoFi Stadium for the 2028 Los Angeles Games. But when the Olympics were awarded to Paris, the temporary facility was approved under previous guidelines, which allowed for a depth of 2.2 meters, which is 7.2 feet. For perspective, a 3 meter or a 9.8 feet pool is considered the optimal depth. At the US trials, where the portable pool installed in the Lucas Oil Stadium was around 2.8 meters, which is 9.1 feet, 2 world records were set. Having said that, on the other hand, as Torren Koos, a spokesman for World Aquatics, notes, numerous Olympic records have been set at the La Défense Arena. Indeed, no one is gripping much. Everyone is competing under the same conditions, so it's not like anyone has an advantage. For the most part, the favored swimmers are coming out on top. But this edition is in stark contrast to an edition like, say, the Beijing Games in 2008. A whopping 23 world records were set at the 2008 Beijing Games when the sport was in the midst of the rubber suit revolution. The following year, at the World Championships in Rome, a staggering 43 marks were established, leading the world governing body to impose strict new rules governing body coverage and fabrics. Coming back to Paris, everyone has raved about the raucous setting, more than 15,000 strong for every session in an indoor stadium that is normally used by the famed rugby club Racing 92. The crowds are loud and boisterous, especially when French star Léon Marchand dives in the water. Other stars like Aussie sprinter Kyle Chalmers doesn't believe that the pool is entirely to blame for the slower than expected races. He said, and I quote, "There's a lot of pressure and expectation that people put on themselves. A lot of people haven't swam in the Olympics before. I think the nervous energy of having 15,000 fans in the stadium is crazy. But I think people do definitely crack under that pressure." Still, the times are a bit jarring. Summer McIntosh blew away Grimes and the rest of the field in the 400 meters individual medley, but the 17-year-old Canadian went more than 3 seconds slower than her world record showing at her country's Olympic trials in May. David Popovici of Romania captured gold in the men's 200 freestyle with a time of 1 minute 44.72 seconds, the slowest by an Olympic champion in that event since Peter van der Hogenband at the 2000 Sydney Games. And then there's Niccolò Martinenghi of Italy, whose gold medal time of 59.03 in the 100-meter breaststroke would not have been good enough to claim a medal of any color at the last 2 Summer Games. It was the slowest winning performance since Japan's Kosuke Kitajima 2 decades ago at the Athens Olympics. At least one swimming world record has been set at every Olympics in the post-World War II era, and it's common for multiple marks to fall. Since 2009, the pace of world records has returned to more customary levels, with several marks from those 2009 worlds still on the books. But it's generally assumed that mostly everyone will be at their best when an Olympic year rolls around, which usually leads to a spirited assault on the record list. 9 world records were set at London in 2012, 8 more fell at the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro, and a half dozen were broken at the pandemic-delayed Tokyo Games 3 years ago, when swimmers competed in a mostly empty arena because of COVID-19 restrictions. The lack of fans hasn't been an issue in Paris, where the cacophony of a large arena filled to the rafters with passionate supporters has given everyone an extra push. Not quite enough to call for a rewrite to the record book, but Chalmers and the others don't really seem to mind. There's still plenty of swimming left in the 2024 Paris Olympics. Will we finally see a world record fall? We'll have to wait and watch.